Good evening. So, okay, no, that's weird. So tonight's plan is to finish off the tags API. So that's going to be doing the put and post request. Not sure whether I'm going to do put or post yet. One of the two. And then also doing delete as well to remove tags. Should be a bit more straightforward than doing the state, because we have a much less complicated model to deal with. And yeah, and then once that's done, I think we'll go on to making sure that the name alias of these endpoints works as well. So without further ado, just gotta wait for all this to load. Even though I selected Rider as the default program for a solution file, I opened one just now, and it decided that Visual Studio should at least attempt to load it, which just meant Visual Studio eating all of my CPU and getting killed off. And now it's apparently slowed everything down, which is nice. Right, the new build of Rider as well now supports not only the running of unit tests, but also my mind's gone blank. But also we can debug them as well. Now, we had a build error then. Is this weird .NET Core thing where you just need to scrub the directory and start again? I suspect it is. Considering I've not changed anything since I stopped streaming yesterday. Exception is not defined. Well, it is. Don't lie to me. So we do... Oh, there is a change here. That'll have been from opening Visual Studio. So let's just clean everything out of the way. And then just build everything again. So apparently the lesson here is to not open Visual Studio if you want your project to still work. Still not sure what exactly causes it to suddenly lose the reference to net standard. Oh well. On the plus side, I have ordered a new laptop, so hopefully compile times will be a bit faster soon. Right. That built one project. Did I not build everything? I thought it was just running the solutions build. Well, everything is actually dying. Oh, it's not building everything. Oh well. Just kill off that. No, we'll let it run. Last time I killed this off, I ended up with 48 .NET Core processors just sitting around in the background doing nothing. Well, we're off to a flying start this evening. Hey, at least all our tests still pass. Right, now if you build inside Rider, hopefully we'll get a clean build and can actually get on with what I planned on doing. I'll leave that going, because I'm just going to trust that it's going to work. So if we go to our toggles controller, now this is getting quite a large controller, so I might want to think about splitting this up later. Do multiple controllers that handle this maybe. Or possibly something to simplify these. Right, so we've got ID state, we've got the get and the set versions, and we've got get tags here. So let's just take this method and copy and paste it down here, and then modify it to be our new post or put. Post is when you want to create something generally, and put can be considered update if you already know the resource. I think we want a put here, not a post. Which I suppose technically means our state ones should be a put as well. Because we're doing it specifically to a resource. Yeah, we'll make those put as well. Yep, good. So now that we've made that a put, we shall rename this to put tags. Now, as tags are just a CSV, we can, I think, I'm not sure if serialization supports this. We'll have to find out. If we do from body and then take in a string array, will the serializer work with it? I have no idea. I mean, hopefully. So, given a string array, we want to do a new. Now, our existing handlers state is an update toggle state handler and an update toggle state request. So we'll use that same style. We'll call it an update toggle tags request. Take the toggle ID, and how do we handle that? So we force the ID, and then that was a property. So again, we'll stick with the same style because it's nice to be consistent. Tags equals tags. We'll send our request, and we'll get a toggle back with some tags in it, I think. Now this just returned the state. So again, I think we'll be consistent, and rather than returning that, we'll do that. Yep, that'll do. So let's build out our various requests. So we'll create a new folder, and this will be update tags. And we shall create an update toggle tags request. And above that, we shall, well, let's do the response first. We'll have a public class update toggle tags response, and our response had a public. I guess we can use an array here as well. Hi Alex 1-to-1. We can use an array here of strings, which are our tags. So, and our update request needs an I request. Yes, an I request of update toggle response. And now we will create our handler, which is a public class update toggle tags handler. It's an I async request handler of update toggle tags request, update toggle tags response. Implement the missing members, and we're not going to be using async. yet. And I know full well that we'll need to take in iStorage for this. Right, and we'll leave that throwing an exception. And here we also have, we'll do an IEnumerable for this, because when you're writing an API, it's a good idea to be as accepting of different inputs as you can, but be as specific as you can for outputs. So in our case, I don't actually care what you pass in to this tags property, as long as it implements IEnumerable of string. The response, however, I'm going to give out an array of strings. I wouldn't return a list because that implies you can add things to it and that might persist, and it's not going to. I could also here return an IEnumerable of strings, but that again might imply that you're going to array it because otherwise you can't iterate it multiple times. If I just return the array straight off the bat, you know where you're at. Right. So now everything should compile at least once we import the namespace. Nope, maybe not. Our request is a constructor with a toggle ID. A get only property for that. Right, so everything should now compile, so we'll now go and add some tests. So that's in our standard test project, and we haven't got folders here because there's only one file for each type, so we'll have a update toggle tags handler tests. Now, did I have a base class for testing these? No. Right, so in which case we have, for the time being, storage equals substitute okay, for iStorage. Or was I using an in-memory version? These are all using interfaces. The update state, however, is using the in-memory version, which makes sense because we're actually going to want to verify against our state. And it saves me having to re-implement everything. So, in fact, I shall do the same thing in my tests here and use that. Right, that's an event, that's a list, that's a field, that is read-only. Right, and then we have the actual handler. Update toggle tags handler. And that will take in the storage, and will also be a read-only private field. So if we look back at our update toggle state handler tests, we have toggle doesn't exist, exists with no current state, and then we have actual things. So we'll have the same style of tests for this. When the toggle doesn't exist, and I think for this one we'll also do when there are no tags provided, when adding an we don't want to go into the complete logic of this. We don't want to test that the domain object works as it should do, because we've already got tests to do that. We just want to check that this calls the correct method on the domain object, and in our case, because that is hidden from us, we'll actually look at the storage and just check that we get the right event. So when adding a tag, so this will cover that, and we'll just do when adding multiple tags. And we shouldn't need to test for duplicate tags because again that's taken care of by the domain tests, or at least it better be. So this one's easy enough. For the rest of them, we're going to use the same toggle ID. Now, did we save a toggle? Yes, we create a new, dump it in, and then store the toggle ID. So we'll do the same thing for that. This is beginning to look like if we do this for more things, we might end up doing, it would be a good idea to extract a base class for these. But again, for the time being, I've only copied this setup once, with that being the difference. So yeah, let's not extract its next, because the next handler we implement tests for might have a completely different structure. And so, is it actually worth extracting methods for that? Who knows yet. So here we do handle, new, request. Now this is for a non-existing toggle ID. So we shall do toggle ID, create new. So we have a random one. And this should throw an exception of some form. Now, it'll be from the domain, so I think I've left it as a key not found exception. That's one of the things that, let's add that to the to-do list now while I think about it. How about to do at the top? Right. So our to do on this is use popper, or use custom exceptions for domain exceptions, e.g. currently using key not found should be toggle not found. Great. But until we do that, oops. Yeah, until we do that, we should just test like this. There's that one. Right. And for added fun, because we've updated Rider to the latest early access, I can now actually run the tests from within Rider, rather than having to switch back to the console and glare at weird stack traces. Oh, it's not going to pass, but yep. Yeah, that makes sense, because I haven't actually implemented anything yet. So they should all fail. Let's do that, and just run these. And yeah. Can I switch off things like folder view on this? Sure. I want to change the view so it looks a bit better. I was kind of hoping to hide those as well, to be honest. Oh well, that'll do for now. At least we can see them on screen. So when there are no tags provided, so this is handle new update toggle request. We'll use the known toggle ID, and in the case of this, we shall do enumerable empty. Or should we do that? Let's just not specify anything, because that'll prove that we've initialized the property to an empty value, which I know for a fact I haven't. So we'll do await. Should there really be an await in here somewhere, shouldn't there? task. Do that. Apparently. Right. Yes, this returns a response. Don't need to do anything with that, do we? No, and we want to check now on here. I had some access methods of these. More of this I copy, the more I'm thinking it is worth up to creating a base class. Now, when we're not doing anything, that's the kind of assertion we're after. Should be toggle created, and then it should be nothing. Because we're not going to change any state if there's no tags. So yeah. Do I want to verify the response? Probably should do. Yeah. And I think we'll definitely do a base class because we can extract some of this as well. Right, so we'll also check the response.tags is empty. Should be empty. Yep. So now we'll have when adding a tag, so basically the same test. With the exception of this, will be filled in with tags equals new array first. This should be type of tag added. I wonder if that should be toggle tag added. Maybe. Tags should be empty. No, tags should be new array of first. And then we have when adding multiple tags, which is again almost similar test. And this should be second, third. And this is a singular tag being added, so we should expect 3 of them. Now these should all fail because this is just going to throw not implemented exceptions everywhere. Right. So let's go and implement stuff. So the first thing we need to do is open a session. Storage session. And then we shall grab the toggle. Load aggregate toggle. And that's going to take the message toggle ID. And we'll leave the throw new not implemented exception in place. Now one of our tests should now pass. The one checking that we get a toggle not found exception. Hooray! So when the toggle doesn't exist. So when there are no tags provided, we can actually do is cheat on this. We'll say if message tags any was false, return. But we need to return the current state, so we can't actually do that. I mean, that would work. Do toggle state but it would also, actually, it would also pass our test because we're not, our toggle doesn't already have some tags against it. So in fact, we should probably add some to start with. Yeah, let's do toggle dot add tag existing. Now this is going to break some stuff because here we're expecting this to be toggle created, and it should now be toggle nope, tag added. And this should now be 3 of them. This should now be 4, which doesn't look great. We might want to change our assertions later to handle the fact that we need to check that the relevant toggles are being set, or the relevant tags are being saved. So now if we do this, if message.tags any false, return new task, no, return task dot from result new that, and our test should fail. Yep, and now that one fails as well because we're aborting too early. Excellent. So we'll leave that in place. In fact, we'll just do that. Turn this tags equals toggle.tags. To array. There we go. Now the interesting part of this is that we now have passed the test, but we've also simplified our implementation for our existing ones. So rather than having multiple returns in here, I'm just going to invert values there. Now, why did that fail? It should be empty. It shouldn't be empty. It should be a new array containing existing only, which means this should be this, and this should be this. Now this might, wrong place to edit. This might fail because I know that we're storing it as a hash set, so ordering isn't guaranteed. So we'll do ignore order true on the end of these. We don't actually care what order these are. It can be up to the UI to sort them into some semblance of reasonableness. Great. So now we just need to implement what happens when we actually tags. So that's going to go here. Right, it's actually a fairly straightforward thing. We'll just do message.tags for each. Toggle.add tag. Now, there isn't actually any protection against null or blank tags, which I'm not going to add as part of this test, because that will end up testing our domain object too tightly. We're really only using the domain object so that we can verify this all works. But it does mean we need to go back to our toggle and make it write some tests for its tags methods to make sure that it doesn't support adding blank tags. Right, What's the problem here? There are no tags provided. Right, null reference exception. This points to the fact that our object isn't initializing this enumerable.empty string. Right, so that should solve that one. Right, let's see what the problem is here. We're missing... Should be toggle created, added. In fact, it was toggle created, added. Well, it should be toggle added here. Then that one passes. But this one, that should be that, because we're starting off by adding an existing tag, and then we're going to iterate all of these, adding new versions. So that should be true. But now that we have a debugger available, we can actually just step in and see what's happening. Right. Our tags array starts off empty. When we go here, we have one called first and a toggle ID. Toggle should be found. It is. Then we'll add the tag. Ha, and that's why. I think. No, that should work. Yep, first. Testing and first. So our result is correct. Apparently the debugger has given up. Which means it's our events coming back that's wrong. Let's step into in-memory session. It's the commit method we care about. Ah, no, that's a legitimate breakage. Would probably help if I actually called save. If you want to keep data, calling save is generally a good thing to do. Hey, that's why we write tests. So let's rerun these tests and hopefully they'll all pass this time. Hooray. Great. So I think the only thing we want to do now is just double check that the API does actually work. So we'll launch this and we will use Rider's test REST web service panel. And the first thing we're going to do is create a new toggle. We don't have to provide a description, so I'm not going to bother testing. And this needs to be content type application JSON. And it would help if we posted it to the right place. 201 created. get a response header with the URL for our toggle. We now go to that and do a get there. That's our toggle, no tags. So we can now do /tags, empty, and we can now do a put to this, and we'll now find out if serialization works in the way that I've done it. 1, 2, 3. Fingers crossed, Web API does what I want. Or Rider throws an error, one of the two. Oh, and we got a 200 OK back from that. And the relevant tags. So if we change to do a GET request, we get our tags. And then if we remove that off the end and send that, we now get the full object back, including the tags. Hooray! So the whole thing works. So let's commit that. No dodgy whitespace for a change. Have forgotten to split those files though. They've also made it so that this dialog has all the checkboxes ticked by default now. And I put in a bug request yesterday to have next as the default button, and apparently that's done for the next early access version. So that's nice. No new lines at the end of files. Tut tut. Can't be dealing with that. That might get shouting at me. Right. So get CM toggle REST API support adding tags to toggles. And now that we can add tags, let's remove them as well. Now with the state, we were able to handle the delete requests with the same handler, I think. Because we had values for true and false. This time we don't though. Because we just have an array of tags. Now it's the same semantic part of it. So our request object is still going to look for the same structure of this, but we can't use an update toggle tags request unless we go and do something like public bool is add, and then in the handler we could say if message is add, do that, else same thing except it's remove tag. But that's ugly as hell. And really beside the point. Hey Jebin. Yeah, so, well, we could do that. That's not really in the spirit of things. So I'm not going to. I'm just going to implement a remove tags handler. Because you never know, we might end up having some completely different logic for it. So I think actually the first thing is going to be to refactor our tests slightly. Because I'm going to end up copying and pasting the same block of code again, and as that's going to be the third time, that's a good time to not copy and paste things. So we'll have a public abstract class handler test. This is going to inherit handler test, and we're going to grab the events, in fact all of this except for one line, to this constructor, and not that line. Yeah. So we're going to need that to be accessible as well. So, that work? No. Take the field and put that up here. And we'll take the events as well. Now, these need to be accessed late. Do they? No, because we access them through these two properties. So in fact, if we just take the properties, make them protected instead. And we need access to the toggle ID as well. So let's do this. Encapsulate field, auto property. Yep, that'll do. Right, and then these want to just be toggle ID instead. Right, so our only error is this. And I think what we'll do is make this generic. That can go in there. And T handler. And we'll have a protected oh god damn it, abstract, there we go, T handler, create handler, which is going to be given I storage interface, and no implementation. And recreating that handler. Yeah, here. So we'll do create handler. I know you technically shouldn't call virtual members inside a constructor, but as I'm in control of everything, I'm going to. And here we shall now implement our method. So override handler, and yeah, in here we'll just do return new handler storage. Right, now we don't want to add tags to everything because not all tests are about tags. So what we'll do is create a new method called initialize toggle, setup toggle. Then I don't have to get into American versus English spelling. Nah, I'm going to leave it as that. Being all imperialistic. Abstract void. Do nothing. Protected. Probably be useful. So here we'll override initialize toggle. And just do that. Yeah, good. So we don't need this constructor anymore. Don't need that handler. Kinda. Let's move that up to there. Now we'll make our handler accessible as well. Like that. Could make it lazy, I guess, and then I wouldn't be told off for calling those and protected. That can be protected as well. That should be called toggle ID. It should be protected. So we want a protected T handler get I'd rather have the fields there. We add the handler, and that's now toggle ID. That can go there, that can go there. Right, now we just need to fix these. Handler. Yep. Right, now with luck, I haven't broken anything. So we'll rerun this class's tests, and then if that doesn't work, or if that does work, we'll then go to our update toggle state handler tests and refactor those to use this same base class. So cross fingers. Failed completed. And nothing useful in the error message. Right. Let's try that again. At least I can expand this time. Ah. Right. So should be created, tag added. Yes, it should. No, when adding a single tag. So it should be toggle created, existing tag first. So yeah, it should be that, but it's not. Which would indicate that this initialized toggle is not running. And that should work, shouldn't it? It must be working, because otherwise that would break. And that. Alright, let's debug this test and see what happens. Yep, that's fine. Fine. Right, begin the session. Grab the toggle. What? There was definitely a for loop above that. There was. I definitely wrote a for loop there to actually do the update, but undid it when I was undoing my changes to the file, because I'm a moron. Yeah, see? There it is. I love writer's local history. Right, let's rerun our... No, I just reran that. That's going to debug the test again. Yeah, writer's local history. Very useful feature. I mean, if it wasn't in that, I'd have been able to see it from the Git history, but it's a bit quicker to do it straight from the IDE. Oh, hell, this laptop's getting hot. Good job I don't use F5 very often, because that area of the keyboard's really worryingly hot. Alright, now our tests pass. So I haven't broken anything. Ish. So let's move that into its own file. And hopefully we can just go into our other test here and refactor this to use the same base class, and everything will just work. So let's delete those. We're not doing any setup of the toggle actually. So in fact, let's change our base class slightly. We'll make this virtual instead, and just not do anything by default. No point forcing no point forcing me to update to override a method if I don't need to. So we shall inherit handler test of update toggle state handler, implement the missing member, which is that, delete these, handler becomes handler, toggle ID becomes toggle ID, and that should be it. Ooh, and this one actually accesses the events directly. What do we do with the events? We have them, we just don't expose them anywhere. Alright, encapsulate. Yes, call it events 1, that entirely makes sense. Protected. Right, and then this can now access that. Good. What are these yellows? Ah, localizable strings, I think. It's just not telling me very well. Right. Laptop. Do have a new one arriving soon. New laptops should get faster compile times. This laptop is quite a few years old and is not entirely happy about running a stream and compiling things at the same time. And those are not the tests I wanted to run. Those are. Great, those will pass. So I think what we'll do is run all the tests in the solution, because I haven't done that in a while. While that's thinking about it, we shall do this. There's another git process running, is there? Maybe I can just type quicker than git can do things. Considering how hot the laptop is getting, entirely possible. Ooh, don't want that is add. Would you put new lines in? No, clearly not. Right. Okay, can I copy and paste a new line? Will that work? No. Hell. Oh well, we'll do it the other way instead. Git reset head source Crispin handlers. In fact, it's only the tests we're changing anyway, so we'll do that. And then just check out that. There we go. Right. Diff those, good, nothing weird. Tests. Extract base class for handler tests. And everything passed, which is nice. Switch this back on. There we go. Cool. So, back to actually implementing things. Now, although we could use the same, we can't really. We can't use the same request because although it's got the same shape as the one we want to use, same properties, I actually want it to be different because I need to use the type for the mediation pipeline. That's how it hooks up the requests to the handler, so you specify them up here, and syntax highlighting has disappeared. Shutting all the tabs, reopening. Nope, no syntax. Some syntax highlighting. Any errors? And how to get the error window to appear in Rider. Oh well, she'll muddle through. Yes, so because we need it might have been external operations preventing it. Not sure. does happen occasionally. Using the dev PC that you stay in. Yes, I am. But I don't think I've formatted it in a few years either. And currently it is trying to take off. I don't know if you can hear the fan in the background. Right, so let's implement new stuff. Oh, Control-Alt-Delete, not what I wanted to hit. Switch to running? Yes, good. Right, good. Oh, everything is dying slowly. Come on, open the menu. There we go. I've lost the ability to create classes as well. That's interesting. This is going well. Right. Delete tags. Wow, this is actually dying. Right. What can I kill? Docker running. No, can't kill Docker to gain some more resources then. Right, I'll stick that on the other monitor and see if anything pops the top. Right. Wow, Rider's not actually letting me do anything. Oh, I can't. No, Rider's crashed completely now. And the exception thing doesn't show in presentation mode. Right, let's just kill Rider and try again. Rider. And process tree. Oh, that's dropped the CPU usage massively. Yeah, according to the resource monitor, the Sharper host was using 50% CPU. Right. Let's try it again. I did have an exception from Rider earlier, but that was about half an hour ago and was to do with hovering over a tooltip in a presentation mode. So I don't think that was related. Now, last time what I had problems streaming was because I was running out of hard drive space. I'm pretty sure I'm not this time. Oh. Right, once this is synchronized. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6.NET.exe processors running. That seems excessive. I could understand 4, 1 per project. 6 seems a bit too many. What are you doing? Right. Void is not a valid keyword there. Cannot resolve symbol void. Ah, okay. Well, it is sitting at... Well, it's using all my CPU at the moment. Or laptop. Right. Ah, void is now recognized. Now let's see if we can create a file, and if I can create a file and a folder... No, I can't create folders anymore either. What the hell? Can I do it from the menu, maybe? Oh, I can do it from here. Okay, alright, let's go back to presentation mode. I am using an early access thing, so I expect to have problems every now and again. And for the most part, it is pretty stable. So, right. Update, or we're not really deleting tags, we're removing them. I prefer the word remove. Remove tags. Right, maybe now I can create it. Hey, everything works again. See, I just have to be nice about Rider and then everything starts working again. So, a remove toggle tags request. See how quickly we can implement this. And the request is an I request in mediator of remove toggle tags response. And that has a public string array of tags. This will be the remaining tags on a toggle. This itself will have a constructor which takes in a toggle ID, and it will have a public settable property which is going to be our I enumerable of string tags. It's going to be the ones to be removed. I have just thought of a way I could possibly cheat. And I think I'm going to do that, because I don't want to type all of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split these into their matching files. Make sure that they end with blank lines, because although I have it set to do that, you apparently have to manually tell it. We'll move these into this folder. Delete that folder. Now, our handler currently just implements this one interface. But what we can do is implement another one. No, it's not that, is it? It's a comma. I async request handler. This time it'll be a remove tags request and a remove tags response. We'll implement our missing member and then refactor. Basically, we want to do all of this except this block changes. What we can do is we can take this, extract a method, which will be update toggle tags. It's not going to take any parameters in to start with. Right. Put that up there. So we're both of these methods are going to call the same thing. We'll do with this one. This one will pass the message toggle ID and then a function or a callback toggle. And we'll just do for each message tags toggle remove tag. Oh, of course it can't tell what type toggle is yet. Remove tag. We know though. Now, the other option is we pass in the array of toggles here, the array of tags, and then a single callback, which is just that. But I'm happy with this. So we'll go down and modify this. This now takes in a toggle ID. Help if I could actually type. And an action of toggle. Process. Now, instead of that, we now call process toggle. And instead of that, we just do toggle ID. Yeah. Ish. It's not quite right yet, but we're getting there. So that here, and now instead of remove tag we call add tag, or add tag ag, as we might prefer. Now, at the moment, this is going to break because of our return type being wrong here. Now, are we doing anything asynchronous in here? We're not. So let's just return a string array. And instead of that, we'll just return here. And instead we'll do var tags. And now we can just do return task from result new. And in the case of this one, this is a remove toggle response. Tags equals tags. Probably don't want a semicolon there. And you don't want to be async because we're not actually doing any async yet. When we refactor the session and storage interfaces to be asynchronous, then we will need the async. But until then, oh, we don't. And that's that. Right. So with luck, we haven't broken the existing stuff, and let's do that so that it doesn't look so horrible. Let's build that and find our handlers tests and just rerun those. And we've lost net standard again. I love .NET Core. So I'll just do add scrub. Scrubbing doesn't work if I remember correctly. I think I actually need to destroy a .NET restore that. This doesn't work. Actually clearing everything from the project does. Good, now it works. Now it can find exception and what's the other thing? Value type is the other thing it seems to lose on a fairly regular basis. Blah blah blah, good, right. Message is declared. Don't need a message variable. Right. Now, let's go and rerun our tests, as I just tried to do. Just run the whole folder. My resource monitor window is just a sea of terminated .NET .exe processes. And all handler tests seem to pass. Excellent. So we haven't broken existing stuff, but we don't know that new stuff works. And we technically can just expand this same file. I was thinking if I wanted a separate file to do the removal of tags, but actually we can use the same file. Right, so we'll just rename these to be like when adding tags and here when adding tags and there are no tags provided, when adding a tag, when adding multiple tags. So let's not randomly tab things in. So let's actually add them at the end of the class and then they can be grouped together. So now we're doing removing. And this is now a remove request. And as is this. And these two should just work off the bat because they're just checking that the toggle doesn't exist. And in this case, this one, that nothing's going to happen. These are our standard events from the setup. Interesting. Ah. As usual, I forgot, oops, to do this. Numeral empty. And I've just also noticed that my namespaces are wrong. There we go. Right, so now that one should work. And then we'll just go and create versions of this that handle removing tags. I'm actually going to want to try and do a multiple remove as well. But as we have access to the session and the toggle, we should be able to do a second setup for one test. So this test will be easy to duplicate removal. So this is when removing a tag. So we have a remove request. This should output a tag removed event. And we already have the existing tag. But actually, if we do this, and now it should be empty. Great. Now, this one's going to be a little more interesting. So when removing multiple tags rather than when adding. As before, we'll make a remove request. Now, we want to reset up some initial states, so do we have access to the toggle? No. But we can do. That. I'm not going to remove the toggle ID property because quite often that's what all I want to access. There's no point in making people type even more, well, an extra dot I suppose. I'm not going to remove that. But now that we have the toggle accessible, we should be able to do using our session calls storage. I thought that was available. Really not. That session save toggle, and here we should just do toggle.add tag. 1, 2, and 3. Let's make that storage available as well. Yeah, okay, I thought it was already available, but let's extract a field. Initializing the constructor, make it read-only. It's not entirely what I wanted to do. Underscore storage. Encapsulate the field. That's an auto property. Yeah. So now here we've added 1, 2, and 3, resaved it. So now what we'll do is remove existing and 3. So our result should be not existing, should just be 1 and 2, and the third one doesn't exist anymore. And we now have 4 tags added and a tag removed twice. Could probably do with I mean, what is it for? It's a RESTful feature toggling service. It's mostly for fun, potentially for work usage later. The idea is that you can deploy this as a single service somewhere, and then any of your other internal services that need to check if they have a feature toggle or a flag enabled can just query this service. And I want to put a UI on the front of it that allows me aggressive toggle management, because that's the problem with feature toggles, is you end up with old ones or stale ones or ones getting reused when they shouldn't be. So what I want is some UI and possibly alerting system that will be telling you this flag hasn't been queried in a month, you should delete it. This flag has been queried constantly, but it's not been changed state in the last 6 months, you should delete it. That kind of thing. Or maybe a breakdown of who uses them and such as well. So yeah, that's the idea, that's what I'm building. And I'm trying to stream the complete development a bit, so not doing any commits outside of Twitch. Great, our test passed as well. Now I'm not very happy with these. Not a particularly nice manner of doing things, so what I want to do is say stream should end with these two. Or possibly some kind of way of checking that they're actually the right things, because I want to check that that's got the word existing as the tag, that's got the word 1, 2, 3. But hey, tests pass. So let's implement a controller method. Rest toggles controller. So that's our put tags. It's basically the same request, except instead of a put, it's a delete method. So we'll name it as well. And this is a remove. That's it. Hopefully. So if we run that and then use lovely test UI. Great thing about this test UI is not only that it's inbuilt, but it's inbuilt in presentation mode. So I can test things and not have to zoom in on like Postman, which is my normal client for testing things. So let's start off by doing a get to the root of our API. OK back with nothing. So we shall do a post to create ourselves a toggle. Let's have a name of testing. Body type, post. Lovely. All that. Come back to that later. Just means I can't type my password somewhere. Right, so we get a 201 created and a location. So if we do a get to that location, we should get our toggle back. No tags. If we then do a get to the tags location, we get an empty array. We now do a put with 1, 2, Dave. Yep, so we now have those. So if we do another get to our endpoint, we get that array back. If we remove that, we get a full object back with our tags. So now if we go to the tags endpoint again, but this time we do a delete request, and this time we should just remove 1 and 2. No, we're going to remove Dave, because Dave is not a number. Ooh, server error. Did I do something wrong? Yes, should probably actually send some text. Everything is crashing again. Can't send bodies with a delete request. Really? Is that rider being funky? Can you not send bodies with delete requests? I thought you could. Oh, that status is delete request. You can't send body and get and delete, only post and put and patch. That's annoying. That means we've implemented the API wrong. Well, I suppose instead of an array, yeah, I don't want to do that. I'm contemplating whether go to our README at the end of this. Would it be nice to do put to tags, and then your body would be add A, B, remove, C, D, or would it be better to do A, true, true for remove, B, false, and false for, or true for keep, for add, and false for remove. Put without the ones you want to delete. That is also an option. Would make things less stateful. I think put without the ones is probably the nicest way of doing it. I'm always returning the new state anyway. Yeah, let's do that. Probably should have tested this earlier. Whoops. Live and learn. Yeah, that makes sense. And from a UI perspective, that's basically how it's going to work anyway. Yeah, right, we'll do that. One less HTTP method to implement, that's nice. And we actually now have an update tags request. Means we don't need our remove one. Do that. And our update handler no longer needs that. It's this though. Put that in here. And for the time being, I shall just dump that in place. this, yeah, that in there. That's the message ID. Don't need those methods anymore. That can now go on one line again. Don't need a comma at the end of it. Don't need that import. Don't need that. And our tests now need some stuff deleting as well. Isn't deleting code fun? So much quicker than writing it. Removals can go. We are going to get to write an interesting set of tests though for this. So because this is doing adds, what we actually want to do is work out what the difference is. Something roughly like var to remove equals toggle.tags except, no, gotta get the story around. This is why I'm going to write a lot of tests. Something like yeah, except message.tags. Var to add is message.tags except toggle tags. And then you do for each into remove toggle.remove. For each to add tag toggle dot add tag. Probably. In fact, let's go and check what our tests are asserting on. So we have an existing tag. When there are no tags provided, this is now removing everything. So this should be empty. And we should have a type of tag removed. We're now adding a single tag called first. Can't you just override your tags with the one coming from the request? Not sure I follow you. If you first get all the tags, remove one, and then put all, except the one, deleting the one which isn't there anymore. Yes, that's what that except is doing. Ah, yes, that's a good point. Huh, yes. Yes, no, you're right, definitely. This is why we're writing tests. So, doing that, in fact I might just rewrite all these tests. Yeah, because we can actually do it as a theory now. In fact, when changing tags around randomly. Right, inline data. So, posting that should result in no changes. Posting first should result in that's not going to work, is it? It gets arsey if you try and do an array of things, I think. That's a shame. I wanted to just have a nice parameterized test. Or we can parameterize it, just not with inline data. So, public static IEnumerable of object array tag tests. Yeah, that'll do. Right. So our first one is going to be yield return new object. Okay, I actually do need to specify object. Right. So sending just existing should result in an empty string array. Yeah. Yield return new object when sending that needs to be a string array as well, really. Yeah. If we do this, so each one of those is a test case. Yeah, that reads not terribly. So when we send an empty string array, the result is going to be an empty string array. If we do, let's copy these. If we send, no, that's not right. If we just send existing, it should come back as existing. Our response should be the same as our input should be the same as the output. Always. Yes, definitely, it should be the same as the output, yeah. In fact, I can just get away with doing this. Might refactor this in a minute. So, given a new string array exists other yield return a new object what have we tested? Not making any changes, removing something, adding one, replacing it with a different value. Right, so now we do member data, I think. Do that. It should suggest that. Then we can do this. No. Sure, there was something where it would automatically suggest name of, but oh well. That. Right. String array tags. Yeah, that's going to get refactored in a minute. So we do var response equals await handler handle new update toggle tags request, the known toggle ID given those tags. The response.tags should be that, not necessarily in the same order. Yeah. Alright, let's see what happens. I'm imagining a lot of failures. Come to think about it, did I implement that as a delete? I did. Tut tut. Gonna have to do something about that as well. Right, how many of these broke? Well, yeah, okay, yeah. Collection modified, alright. Stick some two arrays on it. And rerun. Yeah, I implemented a delete with a post body on the state side of things as well, so I'm going to have to refactor that as well. Hooray! So that works. Not the prettiest, but it works. Yeah. The only downside is I'm now not asserting that the events are correct, but as this is returning the right data, that's all that really matters. Wow, that's not what it should have done. Comment on news accessor. Right. Let's see what we can do about this. Return new object array. That. 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 Some commas in the right place. That on the end. It's surprisingly few Finnish and British English typos this evening, which is nice. That, and then at the end of this we do dot select x new object x. Can you try to override the tags by the ones coming in the put request? No, because the collection is read-only. If we go in here, so just to overwrite this property, the trouble is this property is IEnumerable. It returns the tags field, but you have to go via this add tag and remove tag because each one emits an event. And the event itself then runs the application method, which is used when replaying the aggregate from the event store. So yeah, I need to do this to remove to work out what is the difference between the two collections. If I wasn't event sourcing, then yes, I could just overwrite the property, but I am event sourcing, so I can't. Unless there's other ways to do it. Well, if I did something that allowed the overwriting of the property internally, it would have to do this to add and to remove thing as well. But everything passes tests now. But I am going to commit those as doing that because I did write that and then we undid it. Tags support deletion. And now we do this. Tags rewrite tag update and removal as HTTP post. No, delete cannot have a body. Great. So that just leaves us to rewrite the updating of state, which is not as easy. That'll be more fun to do. But it is getting late, so I'm actually going to go to bed. I'll push this up to GitHub, so if you want to have a look through anything, see how bits work, point and laugh, that kind of thing, or send me pull requests, that'd be nice. You're more than welcome to. If you've got any questions, feel free to send me an email or send me a message through Twitch, or you can send me messages via Twitter as well. I'm at Ponderdom on everything. So yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for your help, mages. Yeah, thanks for your help with that on. I hope you enjoyed it. See you probably tomorrow night.